20 Days with Julian and Little Bunny by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Read by Frank Blissett. August 12th, Tuesday. Up at a little past 6. The old gentleman said that he had had a very pleasant night and no dreams. For myself, I seemed to toss and tumble about the whole night through, which is the stranger, as I ate not a mouthful of supper. The morning was warm, with a partially overcast sky and mist on the hills. The sun gleamed out as we were going for the milk, but quickly withdrew himself again. Julian capered along in the best imaginable spirits. He makes a very funny little figure this week, his drawers being particularly short, so that a great deal of bare leg is visible, some of which is tanned brown, while the rest is white. When I came down from dressing, after breakfast, I found a letter from Phoebe on the table, fixing her return on Thursday. Julian has taken a notion that she is to come back tomorrow, and he will not be persuaded out of it. At about 11, we took our well-worn walk to the lake, when, of course, the old gentleman resumed his piscatory pastime. It would have been an excellent day for real fishing, with its stillness and cloudiness, but before we left the lake, the breeze stirred and ruffled its surface. It was nearly dinner time when we returned, but the little man had to be appeased with a slice of bread preliminarily, and afterwards feasted immensely on rice, squash, and string beans. After dinner, I sat down with a book in the boudoir, and, for the first time since his mother went away, he was absent in parts unknown for the space of an hour. At last I began to think it time to look him up, for, now that I am alone with him, I have all his mother's anxieties added to my own. So I went to the barn and to the currant bushes, and shouted around the house, without response, and finally sat down on the hay, not knowing which way to seek him. But by and by he ran round the house, holding up his little fist with a smiling fizz, and crying out that he had something very good for me. The something good proved to be a squeezed-up pulp consisting of raspberries, blackberries, and gooseberries, which had been stewing in his fist for an hour past, a kind of cookery for which his mother would have thought them all the better. I could not find it in my heart utterly to refuse his gift, so I took a few of the gooseberries, which happened not to be crushed, and allowed him to eat the rest, for he said that he had not tasted one. It being by this time 4 o'clock, I dressed him and myself, and we set out for the village. There were a few clouds, which sometimes kindly came across the sun, but it seemed to be the sultriest day of the whole summer, and I really suffered with the heat, a heavy, brooding, oppressive heat. At the village, I found a note from E.P.P., another from Longfellow, and one from a lady requesting an autograph. On our way home, the little man was so weary and hot that he wished me to carry him, and declared that he never wanted to go to the village again, nor even to the lake. It was indeed a most wearisome walk. And now, at 7 o'clock, I am going to put him to bed. Being in the garden, after putting Julian to bed, Mrs. Tappan passed along the road and asked me to go home with her and see whether she had any books which I would like. So I went and took a number of Harper's Magazine and 1 or 2 other periodicals. I had brought her a letter from Ellery Channing, in which he proposes a visit, but she is going to decline it for the present on account of want of room and there being a baby in the house. She inquired, with apparent seriousness, whether we could not receive his visit, our house being so much bigger than hers, and we having no baby. I looked over the periodicals till 9:30, and then to bed. That was 20 Days with Julian and Little Bunny, August 12th, 1851, by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Read by Frank Blissett.